What's up, guys? We are live here on the TikTok, live on the YouTube. Happy to be here. It's Friday. It is Friday, people. And tonight's going to be really, really fun. So I do have some friends, some guests from TikTok, friends from TikTok that are joining in the stream. So that is going to be really fun. And we are rating and talking about all things Star Wars. So like all the movies, we're talking best to the worst, things that we like about, all the films, things that we hate about the films, and just put it out there, man, and having fun with it. So that is going to be our chat for today. It's going to be really fun. So be sure, if you guys have questions on both sides, TikTok and on YouTube, be sure to tune in and post your questions. Couple updates again for the channel. Memberships are live here on YouTube. So for all of my crazy super fans out there, for those of you, honestly, like if it's something that you're like, hey, I would love to support and, become a member of your channel, that's a thing that you can do. Again, subscribing to the channel is absolutely free. That there's no cost for that. But this is more so for the people that are like, hey, I want to make an investment. Hey, I want to support your channel in another way. Besides, buying merch, this is another way that you guys can. There are 3 different memberships, so be sure to look through those and see what is most fitting for you. Other than that, I have a bit of news. So I am now partnered with Sabneo Saber. Hopefully I pronounced their name right. But yeah, Sabneo Saber. So they are a really cool, lightsaber company. And so I am now partnered with them. I actually have a cool code that you guys can click on that gives you guys a little bit of a discount. So be sure to check that out if you guys are looking to get a new lightsaber in your hands. I will have one on hand probably within the next week or so. So I'll be doing a full review video of that so you guys can see the product and check it out. I'm going to show you everything. It's going to be really, really cool. So be sure to check out Sabneo Sabers. They have some really cool stuff, and I'm happy to be partnered with them. Other than that, if you guys aren't following me on TikTok, be sure to be following me on TikTok. To my YouTube people, TikTok people, be sure to be following me on YouTube, because there's a lot of fun stuff over there that you guys haven't seen. Hey, yo, the Mando, his face is shown. Yes. And it is a chocolate face. And then, again, to all my people who are viewers on YouTube and have not subscribed yet, be sure to subscribe. So that is going up. We've had a lot of people, actually subscribe to the channel. And a lot of that has been from shorts. A lot of that has been from TikTok people. So you guys are amazing. Thank you so much for all the continued support. So other than that, without further ado, let's bring in my guests for the day from TikTok. What's up, people? Hello.
Hey.
Introduce yourselves. We'll start with Xanatos. Who are you, and what do you do on TikTok, man?
So I am Xanatos1138 on TikTok. I do lore videos. I haven't done one of those in a bit, but I am trying to start again. I cosplay as Revan mostly. I do lightsaber videos. I am open to all nerd things, but it ends up being mostly Star Wars.
Yep, and I absolutely love it. I wouldn't have it any other way, man. I love seeing your stuff on my For You page. And then we have Marissa. Marissa, tell us who you are. You've been on here before, but tell everyone who you are and what you do on the TikTok. What can they expect from your page?
So I'm Grotesque Egomania on TikTok and on Instagram, and mostly on TikTok, I cosplay as Grogu.
Yes.
That's what I'm most well known for, but I do edits and stuff. I write fan fiction. I'm fully nerdy. I love Jurassic Park and Lord of the Rings as much as if not more than Star Wars, so I do that kind of stuff too. So.
Yes, and we're going to talk about your fan fiction stuff here very soon, because I think it's very fitting for today's chat. Where I think it's very fitting for today's chat. So I can't wait to talk more about that. So I mean, let's jump right in, guys. I didn't send you guys any updates as far as the notes for tonight because I think it's very direct. And again, TikTok people, if you guys have questions, feel free to post them here. I'll try my best to bounce around. Otherwise, if you guys want, I am live on YouTube as well. So if you want to join us, you're more than welcome to do that there. So tonight we're rating all Star Wars films. So I'm just kind of starting in like essentially release order. So we're starting with A New Hope. And the first question is, how do you guys rate this film? Like 1 out of 5. What do you give it? And why? Xanatos, I'll let you go first, man.
I mean, I'm terrible at rating stuff overall, but I think I would give that a 5 just because it was like the start of it all.
Yeah.
And the Death Star trench run was some of like the best things I've ever seen in a movie.
Yeah.
Personally, but you know, yeah, I would stick with a 5. I think for that.
Okay. Yeah. Because I mean, it started everything off, right? And it was like such a huge mess, you know, like building it up, you know, finishing the film, and then it turned out to be this massive thing that they didn't even know it was going to blow up the way it did, you know, which is so crazy. Marissa, what about you? New Hope. And did you say an 8?
It's hard to give it. It's hard to give it anything other than like a perfect score because it is literally like the thing that started it all.
Yeah.
But being critical and just trying to look at it as a movie, I think that there are some pacing issues at the top end of the film.
Yeah.
But it's so good. Like once you get like Han and Luke together, it's just
yeah.
Come on, that's so good. So I mean, I'm gonna give it a 5, but like noted that there are a little bit of pacing issues in the beginning, just because it's a little slow. But you know, like I mean, it's iconic. You can't get past that part of it. You know, I mean, every character is like at their most iconic look and everything.
Yep.
So it's unflappable.
I would agree. I would definitely give it a 5 as well. It's when you're starting with New Hope, it's one of those things like it started everything off, and I agree with you, Xanatos, on that, man. Where it's like it's the thing that started this off, you know. So it's like it definitely deserves a high rating. Do I watch anime? I do watch anime. I do. There are too many to name, but yes, I do watch anime. So there's still more that we're talking about with New Hope. And again, the format for these questions tonight, they're pretty much all the same. It's like, what do you rate it 1 to 5? And then what do you love, hate about the film? And what would you change? So starting with New Hope, what do you guys love and hate about it? What would you change? Xanatos, talk to me.
I love that it's like it introduces like the Force and the Jedi. It's basically like Obi-Wan is behaving like he's telling this to Luke, but he's also telling it to the audience.
Yeah.
And this is only a negative, but it's like it was kind of out of their control because they weren't really expecting it to go further.
Yeah.
But like little things like when Obi-Wan calls Vader Darth, like the saber fight was kind of slow.
Yeah.
You know, it was very awkward pacing in that aspect compared to other stuff.
Yeah.
And just a lot of things that they kind of left open-ended because they weren't really sure where they were going.
Yeah. Did you see that now that you mentioned it, there was a reimagination of that fight with Darth Vader and Obi-Wan on YouTube? Oh,
yeah,
God,
totally plausible that actually happened, like all, you know, off screen.
Yeah. That's like headcanon for me now. I'm like, oh, I love that, dude. It's so good. Marissa, what do you love, hate about New Hope, and what would you change?
So I think, again, what I said about pacing and maybe like refining the editing a little bit. You know, obviously there's so much that like was retconned after the fact because it was just like, we're just making the space movie. Yeah. And then, wait, it's a huge hit. We got to like build this universe a little bit more. Yeah. Because from what I understand, as far as like the history of making Star Wars, is that like the first cut of A New Hope was like unwatchable. And then, I forget her name, but she came in and she edited the shit out of it and really brought it together. And so like that's the main thing. I mean, what I love love when Luke and Han are in the stormtrooper armor and they're like going to rescue Leia. It's just like classic swashbuckling. Yeah. You know, so much fun. I love being on the Falcon, love Chewie, love all of that. The run, the blowing up the Death Star is just so great and just so well done. So all that, like, for me, it's really about that second half of the movie really just like brings it home solid for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would love to see it like a little refined. You know, if you
Yeah.
could go back and just fix little errors here and there, it would just be like so spectacular. But it's amazing. So
I agree with that. I think okay. I'll say the things that I mean. New Hope in its entirety. I mean, it's one of the things that started. I mean, it started everything off. But one of the things I love most is the music. The music. You know, when I think of Star Wars, and I think even when they, you know, for the original film, you can look at like documentaries. There were things that they did where, you know, they just played the entire film, like testing it, and it didn't have the music before. And, you know, when they got, you know, John Williams, you know, to do a score behind it, it was like, oh, he gave it this entire different, you know, element to the film alone, where it was like, now the film really feels alive, you know, with this music. So I think that aside from, you know, certain story things and characters, I think the music is one of the things I love the most because it's so iconic. One of the things, something I dislike or hate about New Hope, it's so funny because I guess I really didn't think about it before. One of the things I don't like about New Hope, yeah, I can look back and say there were moments that were a little slow, you know, as far as pacing. I would agree with that. So I agree with you on that for sure. The pacing, you know, and it's funny, you can look at kids today that can go back and watch it, and I know some folks who have a hard time, you know, watching some of the original trilogy because of just the pacing. It's just a little bit different than what it is today when you think of some of the newer films. So yeah, I would agree with pacing. Now, let me check on our chat and TikTok before we go to the next question. Yo, thinking of asking a girl out, should I? Yeah. That's your question. It's the guy from Fortnite. Yes, my typical TikTok comments. So next film is Empire Strikes Back. What do you guys rate it? 1 out of 5. Marissa, we'll have you start that one.
5.
5?
Just
Okay.
solid 5. Love that movie.
Solid 5. All right, interesting. Why do you give it a solid 5?
It's just, to me, that of the original trilogy, that is the most well-crafted movie.
Yeah.
The characters are really there. You feel that chemistry and everything's just hitting really hard. From the moment it starts, you're like invested in the world. You're like in it. It just really has a great way of building up and like keeping it interesting, and you're changing your set pieces throughout. So you're like getting a lot of different world building, and it really gives you a sense of the universe and like how expansive it actually is without having being bogged down in world building. It just puts you in there, and it expects you as the audience to just get right there. I mean, obviously the end is so amazing, and I love that it's a movie that doesn't end in a happy place. It ends in a place of like, oh shit, what are we gonna do? Like it kind of, it's so open-ended that it's like, it's exciting. I'm personally, I kind of love stuff that's not happy. So it really, you know, it feels like there's actual stakes there. You know, you have one of your heroes, you know, he's alive, but he's captured and he's being taken and like all this stuff. It feels really, there's like a hopelessness to it a little bit that makes the stakes feel really, really high, because I find as a viewer of all sorts of media, when it's like, you're not worried about the character's safety at all because you're like, well, they're the main character, it's fine, nothing bad is going to happen. Then your emotional connection to it is just so much lower than if you're actually scared that you know, a beloved character might actually die.
And I, you know, going off of what you said, I think a lot of that is almost an American thing where we're so used to, you know, happy endings in terms of media. I think it's just the way things are kind of written and, I don't know, kind of pieced together here. But if you look at any like foreign films, a lot of the times, you know, there's some raw, raunchy stuff, man, where it's like, oh my God, the ending is not, this, you know, it can be terrible, it can be horrific, you know, it can be really exciting. But, you know, I think here, definitely in America, we're so used to that. But, you know, New Hope was so different in that sense. And I think maybe that speaks to a little bit of the inspiration behind Star Wars, the heart of where that comes from in general, you know, with, you know, George Lucas really being a fan of Westerns, really loving samurai stories, all that kind of stuff. So you think of the heart and that inspiration, it's like, yeah, you know, this guy has seen some other things that has kind of brought where his creativity is for sure in terms of the story. So I agree with that. Xanatos, what about you, man? For Empire, what do you rate it? 1 out of 5.
I'm going to be incredibly biased with the OT. Like, I easily give that a 5 too.
Okay.
Okay. I just, everything about it, like the battle in the beginning, just it was one of those films where I understood more the more I watched it and the older I got.
Yeah.
Because there's all these little nuances of, I didn't get Han's joke about we don't have time for anything else for years. And I was watching it one day like, oh, that's what he means.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. And just these little things that you pick up on the more you watch it and like the more you experience.
Yeah. Yep. I agree, man. Empire, I give it a 5. And it's so hard to not say that about the original trilogy, because I mean, it's just so damn classic, you know what I mean? So I definitely give it a 5. Next part of the question for Empire is, what do you guys love and hate about the films? What would you change? Marissa, we'll have you start for this one.
Ooh, I don't know if I would change very much, because I do feel like it's super solid, and it's just like I said, it's like well crafted. It's very tight in the way that it's crafted, and like the script seems like it was really well written.
Yep.
I mean, I'm always partial to more Leia, so that would be where I would go with it. Yeah, I don't think I'd change very much. Maybe more Boba.
Okay. Ooh, yeah. God, yeah. Oh, man.
like, because if you think about it, like, Boba became the character that he is based off of stuff that's not the movies at all, like based off of toys, based off of like side, like little, serials or whatever.
Yeah.
So if we had gotten more Boba in the original trilogy, like, obviously that, because he's an icon.
Yeah. Oh man. Imagine what, ooh, that's a whole nother stream, dude. Like, what would have Star Wars, like Empire Strikes Back, would have been if Boba was more of like the main kind of bad guy in a sense, with more of a presence. Oh, well, how would that change, the film? That would have been really interesting. You bring up a good point. Xanatos, what about you, man? What do you love? What do you hate? What would you change about Empire Strikes Back?
One of my two favorite parts, or two of my favorite parts of that movie were the battle in the beginning, which was really cool, and then the saber fight at the end. Because you get like everything. It's not even just a fight; it's more like Vader's toying with Luke the whole time.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And then you get that thing at the end where he says, "I'm your father," and it was like this big thing.
Yeah.
I think. What was it? I had it. There was one thing I would change. It was not that big. Oh yeah, at the end when Lando is clearly wearing Han's clothing, I would have changed that. That's just weird.
Okay.
That was such a minor thing, but that's the only thing I can think of that I'd probably change from that movie.
It's just the clothing. That's it. Okay. Man, am I still on your bounty list? Oh my god, the questions I get on TikTok, man. What I love about Empire again? Marissa, you said it earlier too. Is it's one of those stories where it is dark. I think it's the darkest of, a lot of the films. I would say for sure. Where it's not really a happy ending, but at the same time, it does raise the stakes and it makes you excited to not know what's going to happen next. It kind of leaves you in. It's a cliffhanger kind of a film, and I like that. So yeah, I think that's one of the things I really liked. One of the things I would change, you guys already said it, is Boba. I think of how different the film could have been if you had more of a presence, that was kind of centrally focused, hand in hand with Darth Vader and Boba Fett. But then, I think Empire just had this other aspect where, it was like from New Hope, we knew that Darth Vader was the bad guy, right? But then it was like, oh, in Empire, there's someone above him, and then you introduce the Emperor, and I think that added such a different element. So, but again, I still think they could have used Boba in different ways, because I mean, he really didn't do much. So yeah, I agree, man. That's one.
And like the way that they build up Darth Vader in Empire is like spectacular. They really start to give you an insight to him and like make him a full character instead of just a villain in a black mask. He is like a fully realized person character that you're interested in and invested in as much as you are the heroes, which is interesting and compelling as far as filmmaking goes. I'm actually wearing my Darth Vader t-shirt right now.
Hey, representing.
Yeah. But yeah, so like I just think that there's a lot of that's done really, really well. It's just now, especially now, knowing how big Boba is, that's like the biggest thing, is that he's literally like wall art almost.
Yeah.
He's just there.
Yep.
And if you could have built him up a little bit, even it didn't need to be a ton, just like, I don't think he even has a line in Empire. I think he literally just stands there looking cool.
I think he had this in like one line.
Yeah, he said he's no good to me dead.
Yeah, he's no good to me dead. Oh, what? Yeah. Put Captain Solo in the cargo ship.
That was the other one.
Yeah. So, and I know this because of watching the films, and I have a little toy that literally you press the button and it has everything that he ever said in the films, and it's only like 3 different things, But hey, thank God we have the Book of Boba Fett, so that's going to be really exciting. Next month, you guys. Next month. So on to our next film. We're talking about what am I talking about?
Return of the Jedi.
Return of the Jedi. It is Return of the Jedi. I'm looking way down on my notes. You guys can't see it. I'm not crazy. You guys think I'm crazy, but I'm not. Return of the Jedi. What do you guys rate it? 1 out of 5. What do you give this one?
I would, even though it's not possible, I would just say it's a 10 because that's my favorite Star Wars movie.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
No, just because Luke is pretty much fully realized. I tend to like the ends of trilogies the best because it's like all closure.
Yeah.
The battle at the end, Battle of Endor in space and on the ground with the Ewoks. I mean, that didn't bother me as much as it seems to bother some people. Yeah. I also like the special edition add-ons. Like, I actually liked the music scene in Jabba's palace, and I like Celebration better than Yub Nub, but I don't know.
Yeah.
That is also a topic of.
I like Celebration better too. Yeah. What about you, Marissa? What do you rate Return of the Jedi? 1 out of 5.
For me personally, it's a 5. For like movie, I would say like 4, but it's a 5.
Okay.
I mean, that was my favorite growing up for sure. So it holds a really special place in my heart, and like I love it. It's so I'm like, I just love it. It's fun.
Yeah, I definitely give it a 5 for sure. I mean, oh man, Return of the Jedi is definitely one. It's been between that one and Revenge of the Sith that are one of my favorites. For Star Wars films. Hey man, how you doing? I'm doing great. Thanks for tuning in. I'm live on YouTube as well, so you guys are more than welcome to join us. If you guys have other questions, if you guys want me to see it right away, you're more than welcome to join the stream on YouTube. And someone, I think it must be Life of Oliver, that's used my name. I have people that like use my profile picture. I'm like, whatever, I don't care. It's fine, man. So what would you guys, in terms of what you love and hate about Return of the Jedi, what are your thoughts on that? Xanatos, we'll have you start off with this one.
I mean, I've seen that movie easily over 100 times, so I love a lot about it. Stuff I didn't like, I don't even know if there is anything. I cannot think of anything that I didn't like about the movie.
Okay.
But I'm very, very biased about it, so I don't know.
Okay. Marissa, what about you? What do you love? What do you hate? And if you could change anything, what would you change?
Okay, so first of all, I'm getting that music scene from Jabba's palace, just getting it right out of there, because no offense to anybody, I do not like that.
Okay.
It takes me, because there's a charm to the original effects, and like I'm very pro practical effects. That's part of why I like Star Wars, is like when it feels really real, in the world, even if it's like puppets, it's just I like that better than I like mediocre bad CG. So it's just like a personal thing, and plus it just feels like it slows down the front end of the movie a little bit.
Yeah.
Besides that, I mean, if I'm gonna change stuff, of course, there's like, I love Leia's bikini, but I understand that there is some level of sexism and like that she did not want to wear it and that kind of stuff, and that makes it kind of yucky.
Yeah.
So, you know, if I could mediate that so that I could enjoy that again, that'd be great.
Yep.
But I really love it. I will say that Carrie Fisher wears a very bad wig when she's with the Ewoks, and
oh God, yeah.
I can. I'm all like, y'all had money, right? You could have bought a better wig. But like, it's little things like that, you know, like little. These are like non-complaints.
Yeah.
Because I love it. It's so much fun. I'm a sucker for a cute character.
Yeah.
Like, and so the Ewoks just fulfill that need completely for me.
Yeah.
I don't think that there's anything wrong with having something that's fun in a Star Wars movie.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's not as like, the tone is a lot lighter than, well, at least the end of the movie is kind of a lot lighter than like Empire or something like that.
Yeah.
But I'm still having a great time watching that movie. It's well made. Like the pacing is pretty good. Luke as a character is the best in Return of the Jedi, in my opinion.
Oh yeah.
And like, he's cool. He's cool finally.
Yes. He's not a whiny farm boy. You know?
Right.
Yeah, good. I love hearing you guys' thoughts on that, man. I think Return of the Jedi was so different. I think that's one of the things I loved was going in, and I've said this in other streams before, but you know, going into Return of the Jedi and Luke specifically was just so distinguishingly different, you know, compared to, you know, how we've traveled with him through 2 different films, and his attitude and everything was so different here. His whole persona, it was like, wow, who is this guy? You know, different color lightsaber. He's wearing all black. It's crazy, you know. So that's one of the things I really did enjoy about Return of the Jedi. And there's something else I want to talk about too after I make my next point, because you mentioned something about Carrie Fisher and the bikini. I want to talk about it in universe. In universe, I have a thought that I want to share with you guys. I want to hear your thoughts on it. But one of the things I would change would probably be like, I always felt like Lando, like he was there, but like I feel like he didn't do much, you know. And he had like that badass, what was it called? I'm looking at it. What is it called? Smuggler's Bounty outfit. You know what I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm.
I would love to have seen him do like just a little bit more in that attire, like kicking people's asses and stuff. You know, I don't know. I just wanted to see him do a little something more. Hey, we're getting a show eventually, a show or movie, I don't know, for Lando. So we know that that's coming to Disney Plus. But, you know, again, for Return of the Jedi, I just thought, I was like, you know, I kind of wanted to see him do a little bit more. I don't know. That's one thing I would change. Now, my question, I did a TikTok on this a while ago, and the question was, hear me out. Jabba had, you know, Leia in the bikini. Was Jabba trying to get it on at some point with Leia in universe? Because if you think about it, he was like, "You will learn to appreciate me" at some point, and his nasty tongue, you know, she's like, ugh, you know. So and I elaborated on it. I was like, you know, I always thought about this back in the day with buddies. Like, was that a thing? Like, was that what he was trying to do? Or I think, and I want to hear from you guys on this, but I think it was more so you have this political figure that's in the rebellion that's totally against everything you're doing. What's the worst thing you could do to her besides death is embarrass her, strip her down to make her feel like a slave, and it's kind of like a disrespectful thing in universe terms. And you know, you have like this mob boss, you know, who does this to this political figure that's really against everything that he stands for. The worst thing you can do is kind of strip her down of that identity and make her feel less than. I think that's essentially what I got from it. But at the same time, I was like, I don't know, you know, Let me know what you guys think. What do you think? Was Jabba trying to get it on with Leia?
I think it makes a lot of sense because he seemed very into trophies.
Yeah.
Because of the time, it was like the early 80s. I don't know if that was the creator's intentions, but it makes more sense that he would just like try to embarrass and paint her in a negative light. Like, you know, oh, you don't like this, I'm going to put everything that you dislike on you.
Yeah. And that's what I got initially. But it was like that thought has always been there. Marissa.
Okay.
What do you think?
I really love this idea of it being more about like shaming her or like kind of stripping her of her dignity in a way that seems like accurate, but it also seems like in the setting of the palace, there's like spies there and there's other like women characters there who are in like scantily clad and also like chained up and stuff. And it seems like there's like a sex worker element to Jabba's palace. So I mean, if he's a mob boss, I think that there is a possibility that maybe he's trying to like get it with her because she's a fucking smoke show. But I do like the idea that it is just more about like kind of like removing her dignity, and even in that though, Leia's such a badass that she's like whatever. She's
because I mean she like strangled the dude to death, so I was like, man, like she must have been very uncomfortable. I'm thinking in universe. There's a book that I read, Empire Strikes Back from a certain point of view. They have another one for New Hope. I don't know if there's one out for Return of the Jedi. And Erica, I see you sneaking in. What's up, girl? But it kind of like explains things from other people's point of view within the film. You know what I mean? And it gives you, it's the same movie, but it's just like that person that was walking, across the hall, or Ula, the Twi'lek that was, chained up in Jabba's palace. It may be something from her perspective in Return of the Jedi. I like those aspects, those books, where you can kind of get a little more info on like, hey, what was going on the exterior side of things while this story was playing out, and I think that would be, I would really love to read the one for Return of the Jedi. I'm not sure if it's out yet, but that's on my list. But anyway, I had to get that out there because it has been a question on my mind for many years. Like, what, you know what I mean? It's just, it's one of those questions. So,
well, and before we get off of Return of the Jedi, I do want to mention Boba Fett's death. Obviously, we know it's not a death now, but it's for a villain that, like, for a character that's like pretty cool. He's like killed in a very not cool way. He's like, oh no, fell in a hole
by accident as well. I mean, the dude, Han Solo was like blinded at the time, shoots the guy's jetpack, and it was very stupid. But anyway, I would change that.
I actually thought of a change too in that same scene when Luke is fighting and they didn't edit out that he kicked air.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Which is kind of like a really funny meme now, but
It was a force kick, man. It was a force kick.
That's it.
I have this for Lord of the Rings 2 Towers too. When when they're riding out of Helm's Deep, there's just some guys just swinging at nothing, and I'm like, bruh, you got to put in some CGI Urukai right there.
Oh man, I haven't watched Lord of the Rings in a long time. We have to do that again. You got to really.
If you want to talk Lord of the Rings versus Star Wars, I'm your gal.
Okay. It is on the table, my friend. Now we're out of the original trilogy. Now we're going in, and again, I'm kind of going, by release of things. So now we're in the Phantom Menace. What do you guys rate the Phantom Menace 1 out of 5?
I would say a 4.
Okay.
And the only reason I don't give it a 3 is because of how important the movie is to start off the trilogy.
Yeah.
I liked, seeing, like, I liked seeing the Jedi in their prime, Coruscant, like, because I'd read a bunch of Legends books and Coruscant was always there.
Yep.
And everyone loves the fight scene at the end. Like, there's no question about that. But just a lot of things about that could have been different though.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's why I just give it a 4.
Yeah, for sure. Marissa, what about you? What do you rate it?
Okay.
Phantom Menace.
So I'm going to do a blanket statement here that if you like the prequels, that's cool. I'm happy for you. I'm not the biggest fan.
Okay.
They weren't for me.
Yeah.
But I'm going to be fair. And Phantom Menace is for sure the lowest of all Star Wars movies, in my opinion.
Okay.
It's barely a 3 for me.
Dang. Okay. Barely
and I know that there's lots of good stuff in there.
Yeah.
But again, I'll say this about the prequels. And I'm not trying to comfort anybody or anything like that. But like, I don't think that George Lucas is a good director.
Yeah.
And those movies suffer because he lives in a world of yes.
Yeah. And he needs to trust his directors that are around him for sure to work with the actors. I would agree with that for sure. Now, okay. I would Phantom Menace. I would say a 4. Almost a 5. I would say it would be a 5 if there was more of a certain character, that I really liked in the film. But I would say, I would say a 4 for sure. Now, for you guys, what do you love about Phantom Menace, and what do you hate? What would you change? Marissa, we'll have you started off.
Okay, the score, fantastic. Obviously, Duel of the Fates.
Oh God, yeah.
The lightsaber battle at the end, iconic, great.
Yeah.
Love all of that.
Yep.
The costume design in the sequel trilogy is unparalleled. It's so beautiful. It's so well thought out, and like it draws from a lot of inspiration from various cultures to create something that's truly unique. So like I love a lot of that. If I was to change things, pod racing, that scene is very poorly edited. It could be really exciting. It could be a really, really exciting scene, and it's not. It just feels like people driving by your screen for like way too long.
So some pacing, yeah.
It's the same issues as like some of the other ones. There's a pacing issue. I also like there's a flattening of a lot of characters. And this is not because anybody's a bad actor, because there are fantastic actors in the in the prequel trilogy, but they've just pulled them down to this like really flat thing. I think this was at right at the time where CG was becoming so popular, and they shot everything on green screen. So like there's a little bit of scope that's lost in that, because there's just not you just don't feel as in the world. It feels, in my opinion, just like a little stunted, and like this beautiful artwork and all this kind of stuff. But there's just a little bit of it that you can just like could be better. That's like the biggest problem with the prequels to me, is that they just could be better.
Yeah, I feel that. Xanatos, man, what do you love? What do you hate? And what would you change? Phantom Menace.
I loved like all of the scenery, like seeing Theed and the droid tanks were cool. The starfighters were cool. Lightsaber fights, like that's the first time you see a double-bladed saber in the movie. Or in a movie.
Yep.
I think 2 key things I would change is making Anakin Padme's age, because having a 9-year-old crushing on a 14-year-old, it happens, but it doesn't have to be on screen.
Right.
And Jar Jar was a choice. Like I don't condone people that basically drove Ahmed Best away to the point where he was almost like ready to kill himself. But
and
they could have.
He's such a nice and sweet person. Like
Like, and then you look at the other Gungans, and they're actually pretty cool.
Right.
So you could have had Jar Jar just be one of the other Gungans, like a warrior type. It didn't matter. He could have been banished for some other reason that wasn't, oh, I crashed a car and now they threw me out forever.
Yeah.
I'm
gonna talk on that in a minute, but keep going. Keep going.
Just like I also love the whole creation of Darth Maul. Like that was great. Now he's been everywhere.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it.
I think I said I rated it as a 4. And all my TikTok people, again, we are live on YouTube. So if you guys have questions and you want to join me and the other guests, you're more than welcome to. So come and hang out. Otherwise, if you guys want to type questions here, I'm going to do my best to answer them. Let me try to answer a few questions while I'm on here. How many Funko Pops do you have? I have 12 for Star Wars. 12. What's the New Hope? Oh, you saying that's your favorite film? Okay, nice. One of the things I love about Phantom Menace is I do love the music. I agree, the score is fantastic. And I love Darth Maul. You know, he was just so different. You know, such a badass, Sith character. You know, it was so different from the other stuff that we've seen. Previously with Darth Vader. It was just cool to see that double-bladed lightsaber. It was badass. Things I would change. I think I would give Maul a little more like screen time. I think that's well deserved. Where some lines, more lines. I guess I think he had like one line. I'm pretty sure it was just like one line, right? So I would want to give him a little more screen time. I think that would be great. And also talking about Jar Jar, I told you I was coming back to this. I think what they did with him was genius. I wouldn't change anything about Jar Jar if they would have made him the Phantom Menace. It makes sense. Because you think of a character like Yoda, Master Yoda, right? When you first meet him in Empire, he's this goofy kind of character, rambling into Luke stuff and seems really funny and witty and goofy. You're like, who is this little troll character, And then you realize like, oh, this is Master Yoda. This is the guy that he's looking for. He's just kind of putting on a facade. That same aspect, but for Jar Jar. And there's been all these other things talking about, theories of him being Darth Jar Jar. It would make sense. It would totally make sense with him being so clumsy and messing things up, but also kind of being sleek and, accomplishing things in his clumsiness. I think that would have been genius. I almost wonder if that was the original plan. I wouldn't doubt it. At some point, like if they were like, yeah, we will. I mean, George Lucas said it before in an interview. I'm pretty sure it was like the behind the scenes of the film. He was like, if Jar Jar works, he's the key to everything. He said this in an interview. So I was like, well, what does that mean? So I feel like if they would have made him, if he was supposed to originally be the Phantom Menace, it would have made more sense for his character if they were to push it forward. But I feel like all the backlash and everything that happened, it was like, okay, you know what? Let's move on from this character and do something different. But I think if I could change anything, I think that would have been interesting. Would have worked? I don't know. But I still think that aspect for the character, kind of this facade, would be interesting. So that's one thing I would change for Phantom Menace. Marissa, I see you computing.
Oh, I'm just thinking.
Okay.
No, I'm just I don't want to disparage anything or anything like that. And I really want to be respectful to people and what they like and all that kind of stuff. But it's just I'm trying to express my opinions on this.
Yeah.
And
you're good.
And with Jar Jar, I really am kind of neutral on him. I don't have a strong opinion in one way or the other on Jar Jar. I think it's just a character. I mean, is he a strong choice? They made some choices with the character and they really went hard. But yeah, I mean, there's definitely, it feels unbalanced because of how much they took him out in the other movies. Because you're like, we spend so much time with that dude.
Yeah.
And then for him to be basically hey, see you guys later. In the rest of the trilogy is kind of a little bit, but I agree on the age thing is a little weird. There's just also starting a Star Wars movie.
Yeah.
With basically a talk about trade embargoes is a little okay, I guess this is what we're doing. It's a I don't know if I can be vulgar on here. Can I be vulgar?
You can be vulgar. It's fine. This is not made for children.
Okay, good. Because I'm a vulgar person, so I just need to know that I have my full range of expression.
You're good.
It's a limp dick on the front of the movie. It is this. It's so and I was a kid going to the theaters so excited. There's a new Star Wars. This is so exciting. And it's like, meh, at the beginning for like a long time. And like, there's also like, this happens in Star Wars a lot, is sometimes there's racial stuff that's not like directly racial, but you're like, this feels uncomfortable. I don't like this. And there's a lot of characterization in the prequels of various races in other alien races that feel a little gross. Yeah. And so like that happens, I feel like, a lot in Phantom Menace, especially.
And they actually had slaves. They were on Tatooine.
Especially, I can't remember his is it Greedo? No, that's not cool.
Not Greedo. Was it I know what you're talking about. You're talking about the dude that was on Tatooine, right? What the hell was his name?
Who had
the kid or
no? He looks like the dude from Sesame Street on drugs.
No. The you're talking about that spy. Wait a second.
No, the guy who owns Anakin, right?
Oh, Watto.
Oh my God. I was like, what is his name?
Let me give a shout out. What up, Chaco? I see you, man. Continue on, Marissa.
But so there's some stuff in there that feels a little, it didn't feel great at the time, but it feels really bad when you rewatch it. You're like, ooh. Yeah. But I just think the opening of that movie is very weak. Oh, I was so excited. I was I was like so into it. I was like ready to have like a great time, and I was like a little kid, just like, what is this?
I know someone that actually edited their own version of Phantom Menace for themselves, just to watch, where they edited out a huge ass portion of the film, and it goes from things that they like from the beginning, cuts out like I think the pod racing stuff and a couple scenes with Jar Jar, and then it's just like Darth Maul. And I think it's about like 30 minutes in total with their edited version of the film with things that they cut out. But there was a lot going on. I hear a lot of people talk about like the midichlorian thing that they didn't like. That didn't really bother me as much. I just think I think there could have been something more with Jar Jar if they would have allowed it. You know what I mean? I think that there was something there that they wanted to do originally. Because again, like you said, we had to spend so much time with this guy, and then to go into other films and like, it's kind of weird, then he's just like, all right, I'm out. It did feel a little unbalanced. I would agree with that. So yeah, touche. Xanatos, did you share already about Phantom Menace?
Yeah.
You did? Okay. You guys have to remind me. I forget things.
And I talk a lot, so I'm sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. Please, that's what you're supposed to do. And let me check on the chat before we go to our next film. Again, shout out to my boy Chaco. Good to see you, buddy. Stephen Houghton, Bando, what's your opinion on anime? I love anime. I think that it's really exciting to see. Okay, I take that back. I think it's interesting to see some anime getting live action adaptations, these days. That's always dangerous. You know what I mean? Like, you guys know what I mean. It's always dangerous to do that because you want to do it right and you want to do it justice. But there's a lot of good anime out there, man. Trying to think what's one of the ones I recently watched. One was called Ghost Stories. I kind of watched that all throughout October. It was fantastic. Older, like back in the 90s. One of my favorites is Case Closed. Case Closed is fantastic. I used to watch that shit early in the morning, right before school. And it's so good. It's so good. It's about this like detective that ends up like getting turned into a kid, and he's got to solve all these crimes, and it's so good. So I can go on and on talking about anime. But anyway, next film. This is besides Revenge of the Sith. I love this film so much for some not raunchy ass reasons, but some funny reasons. Attack of the Clones. So, what do you guys rate it? 1 out of 5, Marissa.
I'm gonna give that one. It's a 4 for me.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. Wait. That's because we got older Anakin. She's like, you know what though? I'm gonna give that one a
Hey,
4.
I'm a simp, but I do not simp for rat tail Anakin.
Okay,
No.
okay.
I know it's his Padawan braid. I don't care. That's a rat tail, and I'm not here for
Okay.
it. It's a rat tail and the ponytail in the back. Oh
God, yeah. So you said a 5. You said
if my best friend is here, she's the biggest Anakin fan, and if she hears me talking smack, she's gonna come for me.
Okay.
She's come for me so hard.
Xanatos,
I gave it a 4.
You gave it a 4? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
What about you, Xanatos? What do you give it? 1 out of 5.
I would still say that's a 4. I was thinking maybe it's a 3, but I'd still say a 4 just because, like, it's kind of a comfort movie for me for the most part.
Okay.
And you get to see a lot of things. Like the last half hour is probably like the most solid part of the film.
Yeah.
When they're fighting on, like they're fighting with the clones and the droids and stuff. Like you get all that happening.
Yeah.
There is a slow, like the slow part in the middle where it drags, which I was okay with, but like the line that Anakin and Padme say to each other before they're getting wheeled out for execution completely, like when I think I watched this when I was a teenager, so like it completely ruined my standards for any sort of romance of anything. It's like, okay, it has to be this level of romance. And
so it set a bar for you. You have a standard now. Okay, all right. What do you love, hate, and what would you change about Attack of the Clones? Marissa, we'll have you start on this one.
Okay, love costumes. Padme all day, every day.
Oh yeah,
those are some banger costumes.
Yeah.
Except for the one that she wears when she's like trying to break things off with Anakin. I'm like, you're dressed like a dominatrix, ma'am. Calm down.
And that was George Lucas's input too, from what I hear.
Mm-hmm.
My God.
I like George Lucas, amazing world creator, world builder.
Yep.
Not a fantastic director, in my opinion. I just think that he gets bogged down in his own world and can't see how to make that into a great movie.
Right.
And like, it's just, it's a shame because the worlds are so beautiful and so cool. And there's like, obviously all this material where we can dive into this more, but he gets so stuck in trying to build that part of it. But like I recently watched Attack of the Clones with my best friend because she wanted to, and she was talking about what she loves about the movie and how emotional it is. From Anakin's standpoint, I think it is really strong in that way. Is that you really start to see that he has that darkness in him, these emotions that he's not really sure how to deal with because of being brought up by the Jedi and being told to repress that. And not feel what he wants to feel, and like, the love story and all that kind of stuff. Things I would change. The way that they try and assassinate Padme, they really be going back asswards about it. They're like, okay, let me hire a guy who's then gonna put a worm inside of a robot, and the robot's gonna go in, and then the worm is gonna, and it's like, y'all have guns,
right? Yeah,
you could just, I get that they don't want her to actually be assassinated, so they come up with these things. Yeah, but it's
unnecessary. It's like an unnecessary step,
Yeah, and so like that's like really good stuff between Obi and Anakin. You start to see that like brother, father dad almost dynamic that they have. Yeah, and so like that part's really good. Love Space Jesus Obi-Wan, like very into that. But the scene where they're in like the factory on the conveyor belts.
Oh
like, not for me. Like big Jedi battle, all this stuff, great, love that. But when they're like, I'm like, is this like a Benny Hill skit? They're like falling into buckets.
There are some hilarious things in Attack of the Clones. Xanatos, man. What do you love? What do you hate? What would you change about Attack of the Clones?
I loved all the fight scenes, all of like the characters that we get introduced to like all the new Jedi.
Yep.
The last half hour, like I said, was awesome. I would probably like what I didn't like and what I would change is probably one and the same. Where like Anakin goes to save his mom, kills all the Sand people, and he admits this to Padme, and Padme's like, okay, that's cool.
Right,
like, they could have framed it differently to where she still sympathized with him, but to openly admit, yeah, I killed men, women, and children because I was angry. Right. That's a red flag that, like, they didn't do Padme's character justice from that point forward.
Yeah. And I'm going to do it again in the next film.
Yeah.
So, right. I got to say, man, there are a lot of things I like about this movie for strange reasons. I absolutely love, y'all hear me when I say this, I absolutely love the amount of shade my boy Anakin gets in this movie from Padme. It is hilarious. He is trying to come on to Padme so hard, and she's like, don't look at me like that. It makes me uncomfortable. Like, oh my God, the amount of shade this guy gets is hilarious. So I absolutely love that. I wouldn't change any of that. Give me more of it. It's great. I love the shade. I think one of the things I would change in Attack of the Clones, I didn't really care too much for the whole like lizard. Or was that in Revenge of the Sith, where he was like riding on like
that's Revenge of the Sith. Yeah.
That's okay. Okay, next film we'll talk about that. Aside from that, another thing I would change probably in Attack of the Clones. I mean, yeah, Jango was badass. I know he had to die because that set up things for the future, but still, it was like, man, come on. All the cool looking characters that are bounty hunters, they just kill them off, so. And kind of stupidly, too. I mean, yeah, sure, it was by Mace Windu, it's Mace Windu, but still, I kind of wanted to see a little bit more of Jango, in a sense, but we got what we got, and it is what it is. So,
is that the movie where he has the Sonic, what are those called?
Yeah.
Those are dope as fuck, and I was so stoked when they were in Mandalorian. Yeah.
So, yeah, I wanted to see more of that. But hey, I mean, they kind of made up for it if you played the game back in the day. Like, they have that. What did that come out on? Like PS2? Pretty sure it was. Hopefully they do a re-release for the Switch. I'm hoping. We'll see. But all right, let's check on our chats really quick. I was summoned here. Yes. What's up, guys? I'm live on YouTube, live on TikTok. We have guests, friends from TikTok, and we are rating all the Star Wars movies. So come and join us. Join the chat. You can join me on YouTube as well. Anakin was a simp in Attack of the Clones. Oh, yeah. Absolutely, man. And I think that's another thing I would change in Attack of the Clones. I feel like Obi-Wan could have known about his marriage. I think that they could have worked that out. You know what I mean? Because it's not like, and you guys could maybe back me up on this, but Jedi, they shouldn't form attachments, but that doesn't mean that they can't feel things. Doesn't mean that they can't love, right? So does that mean he could still be married and be a Jedi? I think when we were kids, we always thought it was kind of like being a nun, meaning like you ain't getting none if you're gonna be a Jedi. You know what I mean? So, but I don't think that's necessarily the case. Like, I think it's more so attachments, meaning like, hey, if you are so attached to something that you have a firm grip on it and you're like, I can't let go of it, then you shouldn't have it. It's one of those sort of things when I think of like the Jedi philosophy. So in that, could he have still been married? And maybe that's a question I'm throwing out to you guys. Like, what do you think? Like, I think that's one thing I would have changed. Is like, I feel like Obi-Wan was his boy. So like, any mentor or like close friend, like, bro, think of it this way. Like, if I got married and didn't tell my best friend about it, he'd be like, yo, like, we've been kicking it like all these years. You get married secretively and don't tell me, you know what I mean? I just feel like that's something, and maybe that was something that was purposeful to play on like the struggle and strain in their relationship between Anakin and Obi-Wan. I totally get that if that was intentional. But at the same time, I'm like, bro, you probably still could have told him and he would have been like, you know what? It is what it is. Obviously, he knew he had a crush on her. So
Mhm.
I don't know. What do you guys think?
I think it's like I feel like there was a Star Wars like official account tweet that basically said that Jedi fuck.
Right.
But like that they're not supposed to have relationships, so being married would be against the rules. But I do think that speaks, like, if you think about it and not telling Obi, that it's like more like that there's a level of distrust from Anakin on almost everybody.
Yep.
Because he keeps things from Padme too. Like he's not really forthright because he obviously has something that he's dealing with. And that's like why he's an interesting character and why he's, he turns and all that kind of stuff.
Yep.
So I do think that kind of speaks like, agreed, if this is your best bud, you should be able to tell him. But I think that it speaks to like there's a level of distrust that Anakin has for almost everybody. Sorry, my dog is on my lap and she's
No, you're good.
Hold on, let me get you a.
Oh, hi, buddy. I agree with you on that, and then there's other factors that go on with Anakin. Like, I mean, he was being, what's the I want to say groomed. I would say maybe that's the right term, by Palpatine in a sense from an early age, and kind of manipulated, without really knowing, in a sense, that there was someone kind of orchestrating things. So, and that has nothing to do with his marriage. But again, yeah, there was a lot going on, with him that caused a lot of those issues. So anyway, now we are out. Oh, no, we're still in the prequel trilogy. The last one is Revenge of the Sith. What do you guys rate it? 1 out of 5. Xanatos.
I would say it's a 5.
Okay.
Just because it's the end of the trilogy. It's a pivotal moment, and I mean, it was definitely had the most going for it out of all the prequels, I think.
Yep.
Yeah, and I mean, I liked everything about it. There's a couple things, but it had a lot of action, a lot of like drama at the end. Like the line with Obi-Wan always like guts me every time when he's saying, "You were my brother, Anakin."
Oh man, yeah. What about you, Marissa? What do you rate it?
I'm gonna give it a 5. It's definitely the like most well made of the prequel trilogy. It's the most emotional. It feels the easiest to watch, just like from a structure point of view. It just like works really well and like moves along, and like there is a little bit of like quirky, like, what are we doing here at the beginning when Obi and Annie are just like running around, falling down elevator shafts, doing all kinds of wildness. But like, it's fun. That's part of Star Wars, is having fun doing things. So I think it's really solid. It comes down one notch because Padme is brushing curly hair and you don't do that. And, and I mark it a point down for Darth Vader's no. No.
It's
because the Darth Vader sequence when they're putting the mask on, it's beautifully shot, so well edited, all this stuff, and it's like, oh my fucking god, that's fucking Darth Vader. Like, it's intense, and it's like, oh my gosh. And then it's like completely undercut by that no, in my opinion. Some people like the no. I understand. It's personal preference.
Yeah. I don't mind the no. I don't mind it only because I felt like it had that whole scene. It was beautifully shot, and it felt like almost this Frankenstein kind of a moment where you have this man that's now this monster, and he's kind of walking kind of lumpy, you know what I mean? And I don't know. But I get what you're saying. It was kind of, it had its little cheesy moment, but I don't know. I don't mind it. Xanatos, what about you, man? Did you already shared, right? Or did you not?
Well, I gave a rating.
Okay, you gave a rating. What do you love? What do you hate about Revenge of the Sith?
I loved a lot of stuff. Mostly, I did not like. Basically, Padme had no point the entire movie except to die. General Grievous sucked. Like, he basically the comics that he had in Legends made him more of a badass.
Yeah.
And then when Legends was kind of like not, it was never canon, but when it was basically solidified, like this isn't canon anymore. Everything else we have to go on Grievous, he is a like villain of the week type of guy. He's like the Rita Repulsa of Star Wars. Like I'll get you next time, Obi-Wan. It doesn't.
Oh, that's very. I get that.
He's cool to a point, but then he just gets his ass kicked every time. It totally watered down his character.
Yeah. Okay. Very good analogy. That makes so much sense. Marissa, did you share what you loved, hated?
Well,
what would you change?
The best part about it is that there's stakes and that people die and that there's consequences to things that happen, which is just makes everything feel so much more intense. It really heightens everything for you. Like, obviously, if you go in knowing that Anakin is Vader, then like you understand that change is going to happen. But they still do a really good job of building up and showing like this is like a terrible thing that's happening right now, you know, and like seeing all the Jedi get killed and all that stuff. I agree, Padme is wasted in Revenge, and that like I don't know, the life force thing is a little weak. It's a little weak in my opinion. As
she had no will to live.
Yeah, it just feels just a little bit, but you know, it is what it is. Like, and I mean, that's come back in canonically in other parts of Star Wars is like the life force thing. I do think it could have been better executed just to make that feel like more weight. Again, the flattening of Natalie Portman's performance, particularly, like, she like gets thrown to the ground and it just is like so like, and I'm like, I want to see like, if you know me, you know I like dark, gritty, like intense things that feel really aggressive because they need to be and like have consequences and characters. And so like it's almost like if he's gonna push her, I want him to like push her, and you know, like I want it to, you know, there's like a little bit, it's a little soft in some parts. But again, it is a kids movie and not an HBO show. So there's a line that they have to play. But I do think I think that's the best Obi-Wan we get in the entire franchise. Like it's so good and like so emotional, and the stakes are just incredibly high, and it feels brutal and scary, and like I think it's super strong.
Yeah, I would agree with that for sure. It makes me think. I just rewatched Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 3. It's so funny. This is it's off topic but on topic. I feel like I didn't like Spider-Man 3 when I first seen it. I mean, mind you, when I went, you know, I was a kid and I was in costume and hoping that there was going to be more to the film. But then, you know, it almost makes me wonder, like, after rewatching it now, I was like, you know, it wasn't that bad of a film. There were just certain things I feel like they could have done differently overall. But it really wasn't that bad of a film as I rewatched it. But there was one moment that made me think of Anakin and with Peter Parker where he's got the black suit on and he's like raging out in this bar, pushing people aside, and in his rage, he really like knocks, you know, MJ down to the ground. And she's like, you know, who are you? And he's like, I don't know anymore. You know, I feel like that kind of rage with Anakin almost, in a sense, using that as an example, where he's so, you know, lost in his anger that he doesn't even realize he's hurting people and being aggressive to those who are around him. I think something like that, if you really felt it, I agree that would have made you feel that moment even more on Padme's end, for sure, you know? So when you said that, it made me think of that. I was like, yeah, I definitely feel that. As far as things that I love about Revenge of the Sith, I mean, well, number one, I give it a 5 for sure. It's one of those things that it brings everything full circle. I've said that before. And, you know, as a kid, you're like, you know, oh, so this is the guy that turns into Darth Vader. He was a pretty boy, and now he's, you know, burnt, you know, and he's that guy. He's the bad guy, you know. So you get to see how everything kind of started. and then it brings you back full circle to the original trilogy, which I thought was just so cool. Yeah, as far as things I would change, I don't know if I would change anything about Revenge of the Sith. It's one of my favorites, so I'm gonna leave that one untouched for now. But again, as far as Padme, yes, that I do agree with. I think there's a lot that could have been different the way she was handled in the film, for sure. So yeah, I guess that's one thing I would change is Padme and how they did certain things with her. I think it could have been a little more handled and executed where you really felt the weight of things differently. You know what I mean? So I agree with that. Now we are out of the prequels, guys. We're out of the original trilogy. We're out of the prequels. And now we are on our way to The Force Awakens. So we're in the sequel trilogy. What do you guys rate it? 1 out of 5.
I'm gonna give it a 5. That's a
5?
pretty
Okay.
solid freaking movie.
Okay.
It's a well-made movie. Yeah.
Yeah.
Really well made.
Okay. 5. Same for you, Xanatos?
Yeah, I would
5?
say it's a 5.
Okay. Yeah. I don't know. It's like I kind of want to give it a 5, but I'm trying to remember. I'm gonna say 4 for now. It's high. That's a high. It is high, but I'm gonna give mine a 4. What do you guys love and hate, and what would you change about The Force Awakens? Xanatos, we'll have you start this one out.
I loved all the visuals, like when they're flying the Falcon, dodging all the TIE fighters. I loved seeing Han again. Han and Chewie, that moment when they got in the ship, that was awesome.
Yeah.
What things I didn't like, I mean, for me personally, I feel like it's out of character for Han to just lose the Falcon.
Yeah.
So like when he came back to it, it's just kind of like, oh man, you haven't had it for a while? That seems weird.
Yeah. Like, what the hell have you been driving all these years?
Yeah,
a space minivan? Like, what?
He was so into it. Like, wouldn't you
Right.
wouldn't you go after it immediately if someone stole it? But that and like Finn should have been in it more. Like he should have held his own. Like they should have started the whole Force sensitivity tease in The Force Awakens, like where he actually held his own against Kylo a little bit better.
Yep.
Phasma was like, I wish she had more, because I love the actress and I wish she had more of a part.
Yeah.
So like when she got kind of sidelined at the end, I'm like, okay, hopefully the next movie she's much better, and then she wasn't.
Yeah. Yeah.
But everything else was just really great. The Poe, like Poe started off great, then he kind of went downhill in The Last Jedi, but
Yeah.
just the introduction of the new characters was very well done for the most part, except for Finn.
Yeah. Yeah. I would agree with that. I'm going to talk about that more in the next film after this one. Marissa, what about you? What do you love? What do you hate? And what would you change?
First of all, I am a Phasma simp. I love her so much.
Okay.
Like, she's like one of the most underutilized villains because she's cool. She's big. She comes in. She has this force, like just like not a force, but like a presence to her that's like really intimidating. And I like her whole interactions with Finn. Yeah. Love Finn. Love the opening. I love that it feels so unique. Like the way the lights are flashing and you're seeing the stormtroopers. Like that feels like so unique to that movie.
Yeah.
It's exciting. They feel like there's like stakes. Like immediately you get the sense of who Kylo is and like how scary he is and like the power that's there. That he's ruthless. There's like so much there that's so cool. You get Rey, which love Rey. Like I know people don't love her, but I'm like, get out of here with that shit.
Right, yeah. I love Rey. She's a good character. Yeah.
What I would change, more Finn. I agree that like having him hold his own a little bit longer with Kylo. But this is an overall Finn thing, is that they tease him being force sensitive and they never let it pay off in any sort of way. And it's really, really disappointing because John Boyega is a great actor. There's so much potential with that character. I love Finn. He's exciting. He's somebody who's stepping out and like choosing to do something, which is like a bold fucking thing for anybody in any situation. And then to be in that situation, like you just want more of him. I do love that, like, we have a female Jedi as a central character versus another male character, but I do think that Finn is force sensitive and that they should have paid that off a little bit more. The Kylo Han scene, just incredible, like, as far as that. I do think that through, I want to say 90% of the movie, Harrison Ford is like phoning it in a little bit. He's like, I'm Han Solo, right? That's cool. But yeah, so like, I mean, I would like a little bit more like Han-ness to him, but I mean, yes, he's older now. More Leia, obviously. I do like that we get a Han Leia scene, because we don't get really a lot of the original trio like together in the sequels a lot. I like Poe. I mean, let's be real. When I'm watching Star Wars, it's like, Daddy, sorry, Daddy, sorry, Daddy, sorry. And also, Mommy, sorry.
Right.
But that's because I'm a space simp.
Ain't nothing wrong with
it. But yeah, so like, I just think it's really strong. It's a very strong beginning to it. Of course, it is very New Hope-y in a lot of the ways. But I just think it's a really strong start. You get a lot of character development in that first thing. You feel like you can define these people, their attributes, everything. BB-8 is great. Like, how can you like make a droid that's better than R2-D2? Obviously, you can't, because R2-D2 is iconic. But like, BB-8 is fucking cool. Like, I love that guy. He's the goodest boy. You're like, hell yeah, dude. So, I mean, and it's fun. It's like, it's got everything that you want from Star Wars, in my opinion. So it is just like a solid Star Wars movie. So
no, I can feel the passion and love of Force Awakens bleeding out of you. I love that. And Xanatos, you shared, right? Which you love, hate. I said I rate this one a 4, and I do like the Force Awakens. Mind you, I was just telling my wife about this earlier. I was like, looking back, I remember when it came out, it was such a huge thing, because we hadn't had a Star Wars film in a long time. We didn't know if we were going to get another one. And I was working at the movie theaters, and it was the weirdest thing. Like, I'd never seen the staff do anything like this for any other movie, where they were preparing like staff members for Star Wars weekend. I was like, man, it can't be that bad. It's just a movie. And you know, I will never forget the release that weekend. It was insane. We were busy like all the way up till like 2 a.m. You know, the entire week. It was crazy. So, I mean, you talk about a massive event and people coming out. It was massive. So yeah, I'll never forget that. One of the things I love about Force Awakens, I do like I like the introduction into this continuation of things after the original trilogy. I think that concept alone is just so cool. Like, oh, the story's continuing. You know, we're not going. This is not a prequel thing. This is the story's going on. I like the mystery of where is Luke Skywalker. I really dug that. You know, I didn't mind him not being like having a big presence in the film. But one of the things I would change, one of the things I really hated, is that we never did get that trio moment. Out of all things, like the one thing, I mean, like they killed off Han Solo, which I mean, I'm fine with that. They could have done that later, but at least give us just one more scene with the trio together. I thought that would have been, and we'll never get it again. But that was just a missed opportunity that I really hope they would have stuck to. So whatever.
As a Jurassic Park fan, Colin Trevorrow has guaranteed us that we get original trio in Jurassic World Dominion, like together and like for longer than like a cameo. So like, I totally like, it would be devastating to have that happen again, because it's just like, it's so important when you're a fan of something to see those characters that you love together and how they play off of each other, not really interact. Because I mean, like the whole interaction between Han and Leia is like, obviously this is like a different part of their life and they have like different things, but like getting a little taste of what their their energy together is so like exciting, and seeing them in like a loving place, and like in a place where they're not really together, but like they still have this family bond and all this kind of stuff, and she's still, you know, as hard-headed but like brave, and you know, she's taking care of business and all that kind of stuff. Like it, that part of it is really good. So it just sucks that we don't get like all three of them together.
Yeah. That was my biggest letdown for the film. And I think that's one of the reasons why I really gave it a 4. Like, again, I know there's some people that are like, it feels like a copied and pasted New Hope. I totally can understand that, but at the same time, you know, I dug what they were trying to do. Finn, I'm going to talk about Finn in the next movie. Xanatos, there's something you mentioned that I was like, I can't really say it here, but I'm going to talk about it for The Last Jedi. But yeah, good talk on that one. Let's go to The Last Jedi. What do you guys rate it? 1 out of 5.
I'm going to run and grab my charger real quick.
Yeah, you're good. Go ahead.
I'll be right back.
Yep. Xanatos, what about you, man? What do you rate The Last Jedi?
I would say probably a 4.
Okay.
It took me a while. Like, I actually, if you'd asked me a year ago, I probably would have said vehemently that Last Jedi is my least favorite.
Yeah.
But because of Star Wars TikTok and like listening to more positive influences than a lot of like toxic YouTubers.
Yep.
But like people like Darth Chaco and Element 7, like listening to their take and their really informed videos on these movies, like I've come to appreciate the sequels a lot better.
Yeah.
But I mean, even on top of that, like with The Last Jedi, the visuals are awesome. Crate was such a cool planet with the salt. Like,
yeah, God, it was beautiful.
The ships, like Kylo's TIE I think was it's called a TIE Silencer.
Yeah.
He finally gets his own custom starship, and then they give him like a really weird interceptor in the next movie. Like he never has that ship again.
Yeah. It was like, what the hell? You started off so cool, man.
Yeah.
Marissa, what do you rate The Last Jedi? 1 out of 5. 5? Okay.
It's one of my favorites. It's like I go back and forth between Empire and Last Jedi.
That shirtless scene with Kylo. Let's talk about
Okay, here's the thing. Let's talk about Kylo simping. Of course we love big wide fridge man. We love it. Daddy, huge. Oh, so large.
Right.
But that is not what's sexy about Kylo at all. It's the small moments. This is like the whole thing. I'm sure you guys have seen videos about the female gaze versus like the male gaze. It's like, it's about his vulnerability. It's about how like unstable his emotions are, but he like is desperate to connect, and he wants that connection with Rey. And like, of course he's trying to pull Rey to the darkness, but that's because he wants somebody that he feels close with, because he doesn't have that. That's the whole reason he turned, was because he felt like he didn't have anybody. So to have somebody who's so desperate to have somebody understand him and connect with him and feel what he's feeling is incredibly sexy. And that's why I think it's not that he has massive shoulders. We love that, of course, but that's not the reason why we simp for him. He's just he's really like trying, and I know he's a bad guy and you don't want her to go with him, but like he's trying with everything in him to connect with somebody and have them understand his point of view. And you know, like, this is really well done in the 2 different versions of the Luke scene, you know, when he, you know, the different perceptions of it.
What Luke sees, what Kylo sees, and then there's the final, here's what actually happened kind of a thing. And you know, like, I love that Luke is so complex, and so like, I know people hate that he like is dismissive of the Jedi, but like, why shouldn't he be? He feels like the Jedi led him down this path where he lost a member of his family again to the dark side. Like, why wouldn't you feel disconnected from that, even though you've dedicated your life to understanding this thing? You know, if he can't have his own flesh and blood, his nephew, be safe, he lost his faith. And that's like an interesting story arc for somebody. And like of course he's reluctant to help, because he's seen
that this can be very damaging. And it's like, it's interesting. I love that we get Rey training and trying to understand where she is. And like, yeah, it's just visually, like I said, as a cinematography nerd, I need to stop. As a cinematography nerd, it's just so beautiful. Like, I don't know if you guys partake in weed, but like watching Last Jedi Stone.
Oh, when you're high.
Oh my god, that shit slaps so hard when you're high. You're like, oh my god. Like, I love Admiral Holdo. I know that people don't like her, but like, it's just because she's a bad bitch and she doesn't take shit from anybody. I actually think that Poe's journey is really interesting, and that Leia serving as his like mentor and kind of letting him find out a little bit on his own. I mean, obviously she's this like incapacitated for so much of the movie, which not my favorite, but whatever. But like, I think that that's interesting, him coming into his own as a leader and like discovering what that means versus what his personal interests are, what the costs of everything. I think that there's like a lot of stakes in Last Jedi. The biggest problem for me is that even though I like when they go to the casino, what's the casino called?
Canto Bight.
I can't. Oh yeah, Canto Bight. Like, I have fun. I'm like having a good time with Finn and Rose, but like it just feels so besides the point in so many of the ways. It doesn't help with anything in the story, really. It doesn't move the plot along. All it ends up really doing is putting Rose and Finn on the ship at the end of the movie so that they're having to escape. But besides that, it really accomplishes nothing. And I get that that's kind of the point, is that, you know, you're trying things, I guess. But it's a little, it kind of just slows it down a little bit when you're invested. So I wish that Finn was more utilized in that way. I like Rose. She's fine character to me. Do I think that their romantic relationship was at all earned or felt like they had chemistry in that way? Not at all. Like, you want me to know what I would change? That kiss is getting kicked the fuck out as soon as possible. That kiss makes me like every time. Ugh. Weird.
I feel that. And speaking of that, I feel like my boy Finn was like, all the films, he was like getting onto a new girl. It seemed like at first he kind of seemed like maybe there was something there with him and Rey. Then you got Rose, and then Jonna, and the next one. I'm like, man, he's getting with everybody.
I'm just gonna stop you right there. Finn's true love is Poe. You can't tell me otherwise. I will fight you. But that romantic chemistry that's between Finn and Poe is stronger than anything in those movies.
I've seen this everywhere. That's so funny. Yeah.
I mean, I get it. If Oscar Isaac looked at me, I'd be like, okay, I'm gay too.
But it's funny you mentioned that, because I've seen that everywhere. And, you know, hey.
Store pilot ship is like, it's real and it's deep. Like, it makes so much sense to me. Like, who they are immediately from like the first interaction. They vibe so hard with each other. And like, Finn and Rey doesn't make sense to me. They feel like best friends. They don't feel like romantic interest. Whereas there is some sort of romantic spark between Poe and Finn. And would I have loved to have a canonically gay couple in Star Wars that wasn't just like in the background? That would have been incredible for representation, especially with two characters of color. Like, it would be amazing. And I think it's a lot more fulfilling than a half-assed kiss between two side characters who just happen to be together. And like, I mean, if Poe had saved Finn at the end of Last Jedi and he had said what Rose says to Finn and kissed him, we would have all lost our minds. We would have been like, this is the greatest thing ever.
Hey, you know, you bring up an interesting point, because I see that so much. I never seen that. But it's funny hearing a lot of people come out and say that now, where I'm like, okay, you know, I didn't see that. But I think that's the beauty of, and even Mark Hamill has come out multiple times saying this. That's the beauty of interpretation. With these films is, and Star Wars in general is like there's something for everyone, and the way certain characters are written, you can perceive it however you like. And I think that's the beauty where it can kind of be expanded in that sense to where everyone, there's a little something for everyone, and how you interpret it is that's fine. And I love that. Oh, it's my turn. Xanatos, you shared, right?
What?
Did you share?
No.
You didn't? Oh, yeah. I go last. Chat is doing good. By the way, guys, TikTok people, I'm not ignoring you. I swear. I'm live on YouTube. You're more than welcome to join us. We're rating and talking about all the Star Wars films. So be sure to come and join us. Xanatos, what did you love? What did you hate? And what would you change about The Last Jedi?
For the most part, I loved Rey's character arc, except I was not a fan of Rey Nobody. I kind of took me out of the movie when I heard it. So, I was really happy about the Rise of Skywalker when they kind of circled around with that. But a thing I would change majorly is I think that the whole going to Canto Bight served Poe's character better than Finn's. And I think Finn should have been allowed to go in the escape pod, make it to Ahch-To, and then train with Rey, alongside her with Luke. And then even going so far as, when she wanted to save Ben, Finn has no love for Ben. Finn does not like Kylo, so he could have stayed behind with Luke and trained. And, that could have gone into the Rise of Skywalker as him being a Jedi.
Yeah.
Or even help Luke in some way when he goes to face Kylo, using the Force.
Yeah.
And yeah, there are certain other aspects, a couple of characters, like Tali Lintra, who was the A-Wing pilot in the bombing run, and then she got obliterated in the next scene.
Oh, yeah.
I kind of wish there was more of her, because I was instantly fascinated, and they killed her off.
Yeah. I forgot about that. Yeah.
Holdo, I made the mistake of reading about Holdo in Leia, Princess of Alderaan.
Uh-huh.
And I feel like in that book, Holdo was such a different character. She was like Luna Lovegood. She was quirky, she was a little weird. And then you see Holdo in the movie, and she's none of that. She's just very straightforward and not share. I understand not sharing details with Poe, because Poe was just he just messed up majorly. So she's like, I don't need you.
Yeah.
But there were just ways that could have been handled where a mutiny wasn't the result.
That's the purple-haired girl. Yeah. Speaking of Jurassic Park, right?
Mm-hmm. Ellie Sattler, my girl.
Yeah. That's interesting. Yeah. Coming from novelization, I'm sure there's always going to be some different, little details for sure. Were you still going on?
No, that's pretty much it. That's pretty much it.
As far as The Last Jedi, what's so funny, I agree with you, Xanatos. You said something earlier. Star Wars TikTok has done a great job at being a positive light in the force of the fandom. Where when I first, and it's okay to not like a movie. I want to make that clear to anyone watching this. It is okay for you to absolutely hate and detest a certain movie. No one's saying anything wrong about that. It's the problem I had, and I shared this before, and it was almost the same thing with The Rise of Skywalker. I love The Last Jedi a little bit more, but the problem I had before is not having an opinion of my own before going to see a movie. I would listen to reviewers first, and it's okay, if all these people that I trust and listen to are saying this, then the movie's got to be bad. Why should I even go waste money to go and watch it? And then you go in with that perception, and you come out okay, I already have this perception in my brain about the movie. I think that was the danger that I stepped into before. And then after rewatching The Last Jedi several times, having conversations with different people, and even, again, Star Wars TikTok has been amazing at, again, being that positive light in the fandom. It's really made me look differently at The Last Jedi, and it's one of my favorites. Definitely giving it a 5. One of the things I didn't like at first was I really wanted Luke Skywalker to come back physically. Almost like a Goku Ultra Instinct moment, where they're on the planet Crate, and they're I want to say the rebels, but the resistance. Sorry,
Yeah,
the resistance, and everyone's there. Leia's there, and you got Kylo Ren and the AT-AT coming in. I really wanted him to physically be there and be blocking all that stuff. As he wipes the dust off his shoulder, I was like, man, that would have been badass if he really shaved and got a new outfit and came back. Yeah, like I thought that would have been really cool. But instead, they did the Force projection. But again, looking at the character of Luke Skywalker, and I love Chaco, I love Element 7. They, listening to a lot of their conversations, it's helped to make this make more sense. That is the most Luke Skywalker thing he could have ever done. Was the least violent thing, he could do. Right? That's definitely Luke Skywalker, where he Force projected himself. He told Leia, he wasn't here to save Kylo. He came to face him. But the way that he did it was exactly what Luke would do. It's definitely in his character, which I was like, okay, that makes sense. And I think one of the other things I would change, that's one of the things I like. But one of the things I would change in The Last Jedi is I don't hate Rose. I don't understand why people have so much hate about her character. It's not that. I would just take out that whole scene of her and Finn going to the casino. I would rip that apart, take it out, and substitute it for a second confrontation with Kylo Ren and Finn. I feel like that was well deserved, where we have this moment in The Force Awakens where, he was kind of bested, obviously, got battle damaged, and there was kind of this hint that he may be Force sensitive. So I feel like there should have been a second confrontation. My boy Star Wars lawyer Chris, we talked about this before, where I'm like, I totally agree, man, where I feel like that's something that was missing. I feel like there definitely should have been a second confrontation between, Finn and Kylo Ren. I don't know how they could have done it, but I think if anything, take that casino scene out and substitute it for that. That would have been an amazing film within itself, and I don't know, shit. Rey is still looking for Luke. I don't know, man. But that's something that I would change. I think that would have added a better element.
Even with the casino scene, I just remembered, like, the whole thing with the code breaker. They could have just made DJ the code breaker. Instead of like, oh, it just so happens this guy can do the same thing.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Another thing that I thought was interesting too is I think originally, because Daisy Ridley, she talked about this in an interview where they're, early on, they didn't know a lot of what they were going to do. There was talks about her potentially being a Kenobi, and then now you have Rise of Skywalker, and I don't have a problem with found family, but I almost liked the idea of her potentially being a Kenobi. Do I want Corky Kenobi to be official? Yes, absolutely. Shout out to Julia Christine. But still, I thought that would have been interesting alone to kind of see, like, hey, what could have happened there if she would have been a Kenobi? But if they're gonna canonize Corky, they better do it in the Kenobi show. I'm like, or else it's just not gonna happen. But maybe that's what they're saving. I have no idea. But overall, Last Jedi, man, is definitely one of my favorites. And that's after reanalyzing it and rewatching it a few times. It's definitely going to be one of my favorites in the sequel trilogy. Beautifully filmed. The story is fantastic. I actually enjoy what they did with Luke. Some people have an issue with it, but again, I think there's something so humbling about, I mentor kids on the side, right? So, different families and you name it all throughout the city. Some kids are in, foster homes, whatever. So that's a little something I do on the side. So from that perspective, I couldn't imagine a group of kids that, trust you and, spend time with you, and under your wing, something happens to them. I couldn't think of what I would have to say to the families, that trusted me to protect their kids, and they're all dead, including my nephew who turned to the dark side right under my wing, without me really knowing. I couldn't imagine what that would do to someone mentally, to where you're like, this is happening all over again. The same thing that happened with the Jedi Order years ago, where evil rised up right within their courts with Palpatine, and I just couldn't imagine how that would make someone feel. So from that perspective, it would make sense. Like, yeah, I'm leaving all of this. I'm done. It would make sense. Anyone would probably be broken from that, from a humanistic standpoint. Obviously, a lot of us fans of the original trilogy were like, yeah, we wanted this. We loved Luke Skywalker over there in Return of the Jedi. Like, I miss that guy. But again, so many years have passed. Life has happened. And with an event like that, I think that would drive anyone to say, yeah, the Jedi need to die. This is horrible. Because this is repeating over and over again. Wherever there's light, there's going to be dark. But it's also about finding a balance. And I think that that's one of the things I really loved about the Last Jedi was the stakes, man. And understanding it has helped me to really love the film that much more. So going on to our last one of the sequel trilogy. Oh, yeah. Go ahead.
One more thing before we leave the Last Jedi. And I just saw this a couple days ago. Shout out to Miss Eggy on TikTok.
Yeah.
But she compares the throne room scene to like the only Star Wars sex scene in Star Wars.
Really?
And the way she describes it, it makes perfect sense.
Oh my god! I gotta check
this out. The throne room scene is immaculate. It's so tense and brilliantly done. I mean, you have Andy Serkis there, just being a fantastic actor.
Yeah.
Playing off of this, really commanding, and like you do feel like that sense of like when you start to see like I think I know what's gonna happen. Oh my gosh! And then it happens and. At that moment, as the audience, you're like, he turned. It's Ben Solo. You're with Rey. You're like, this is amazing. And then it comes crashing down on you when you're like, oh, shit.
Yeah.
Oh, no. And like, so there's like this incredible tension that's built. I mean, I think I'm sure it's like the last 45 minutes of Last Jedi is just immaculate. Just such a good movie. Oh, my gosh.
I think another thing, now that you guys mentioned that, that scene was beautifully filmed. I absolutely loved it. The only thing, and I understand it now, kind of now that we're out of the sequels, but I feel like, Snoke, I wanted something more from him. I wanted to see a fight with him. The guy just sits on a throne the entire, trilogy, So I wanted to see him do something more, being kind of this like gigantic looking, creature, and now we know that he was a direct clone, of Palpatine, where his consciousness was a part of that. But still, outside of that, without even knowing that before, I still wanted to see him do something aside from just being the bad guy that's kind of lurking in the shadows kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there's a problem with him in Force Awakens where he's like a hologram or whatever, and he's like ginormous.
Yeah.
And it's just like 50-foot monsters don't really work. They just feel bizarre.
Yeah.
And so like I remember the first time I watched it, I was like, is this dude massive? Like what the hell?
Yeah.
And so I think that's a problem with Snoke, and like obviously we don't get to see him in any other kind of. He literally does not get up from the chair, I don't think, except for like maybe once.
Right.
But there's some issues there, but I mean like the scene plays out fantastically.
Yeah. Agreed. Now let's go to the Rise of Skywalker. And before we do that, what's going on? We're live on YouTube. We are rating all the Star Wars movies. Talking about the best and worst. I got friends from TikTok that are joined with us, so be sure to come and join us. I'm live over there. I'm going to actually end here on TikTok because my phone is going to die. So I'm going to end here, but if you guys want to continue the conversation with us, we are live on YouTube, so be sure to come and tune in and subscribe. I'll see you guys over there. So Rise of Skywalker, guys. What do you rate it? 1 out of 5?
I would probably just call it a 4. I think.
Okay.
Bill. I understand there was a lot of fan service in it. There was a lot of stuff that they were trying to like. The Rise of Skywalker is pretty much the reaction to the backlash from the Last Jedi.
Yeah.
But I'm very easily entertained. I loved all the fan service in it.
Yeah.
There was one scene at the end when Lando comes with all the ships.
Yeah.
That is essentially a copy and paste moment from Avengers Endgame. When all the superheroes come in, it's
yeah.
It's exactly the same. And I was like sitting in the theaters like, they just did the Endgame moment again.
Right, yeah.
But beyond that, like I like that Rise of Skywalker. I will defend that all day. I love it.
Yeah. Oh, wait, but pause you there. You want to start a war on TikTok with toxic people? Just say Ray Skywalker.
Easily.
That's it. And your comment section, your views are gonna blow up.
I think I got 50 followers on one of the videos I did for that.
Right,
like,
yeah.
So easy.
Anyway, continue.
No, it just there were a couple of things like Finn should have they should have been more outright with him being Force sensitive and just I personally did not like Janna all that much. She should have been used a little bit better, but that's besides the point. And they also introduced a bunch of cool like Sith troopers just for all of them to get destroyed in the last 10 minutes.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Like all that stuff. I love Palpatine coming back because it was a nod to a Legends comic where he does get he does get cloned and resurrected. He puts his Force essence into a new body.
Yep.
Also the Knights of Ren were completely wasted.
Yeah.
Kylo should have just been a Sith Lord. Like they should have just not even done the Knights of Ren. If that's how they're going to handle it, where they all just die to Ben Solo at the end, and Ben only has an "ow" line. That's his only line at the end of the movie.
Yeah. Shit. You know what you made me think of though? Yeah. Before they even did the Last Jedi. I mean, I know they have trilogies, but I'm saying somewhere in between that, they should have did a Knights of Ren film or show or some shit. I think that would have. Man. You know what I mean?
Comic book even. I think that they are showcased in like the Rise of Kylo Ren, which I haven't read yet.
Yeah, that's great, man. It's really good. Yeah.
But just I would have he would have been better as a Sith Lord and just kept that going. You didn't have to make something new.
Yeah. I agree with that for sure. Marissa, what about you? I feel the thoughts. What's my Jeff Goldblum impersonation? I feel the thoughts computing.
Okay, so I give Rise probably like a 4, just because this is the problem with Rise. It's bad in the context of the trilogy. It doesn't really satisfy a lot of needs that are built up in the first 2 movies. Again, I agree that it's like completely, the backlash of Last Jedi and how divisive it was, just kind of like made that movie into like a less strong like point of view. If they had just kept going in their right direction, then they could have had something really cool.
Yep.
Visually, I like it. It's a little blue, but it's still very cool visually. I'm like whatever on the Palpatine thing. It's like whatever. I was like okay, and then I just like accepted it and moved on from it. I didn't like. I wasn't like, no, this shouldn't be this way. But agree on the Knights of Ren for reals because they're so cool. Badass. Like you introduce these 5 or 6 guys. Was it 5 or 6? I don't know.
I think it was 5.
Really cool guys. And if you like read like the Wikipedias on them and stuff, and like because I use the Knights in my fan fiction, so I've read their like everything I could find about them to learn about them. They have such interesting like little unique things about them that like obviously the world building was there, and they just like you can literally not even realize that the Knights of Ren are a thing if you're not paying attention to the movie. Like that's how like little they are, but they're cool. And like I like the idea of this, like the big bad having like a like posse of baddies that are with him, it's cool. But they literally do like nothing.
Yep.
They're just like, we're gonna stand on a rock. All right, cool.
Yeah.
We got the shot. Let's move on.
They're eye candy. That's really what they are for that. And that's kind of an original thing with George Lucas. I think there was something I read recently where, he made a statement, years ago where it was like, he's not going to give a backstory to every character, or every character is not going to have development, but they're going to be there for a specific purpose. But at the same time, I'm like, man, you bring these 4, I don't know how many ever, there is, but you bring this group of characters in. It's like they're just so interesting. One can't help but ask, there's got to be something more behind that you would want to see, So I agree with that, man. What do
But,
you
like,
guys? Yeah,
I love the movie. I have a good time watching it.
yeah,
I think it suffers from the loss of Carrie Fisher, obviously. I
yeah,
think that a Ben Solo redemption arc could have been completed if Carrie was there to actually act scenes with him.
yeah,
I think that he would have, maybe they could have like saved him and not had him die. Because guess what? You can redeem characters without them being murdered.
yeah, yeah. No, it's true. But see, I used to think the same thing, but the only problem, and this you can even say the same thing with Vader, where like he was redeemed in Return of the Jedi, but the only problem is the rest of the galaxy isn't going to feel the same way.
Yeah, you can't. You can't just. Rey can't walk in with Ben Solo and be like,
no.
"Hey guys, check out my boyfriend."
Right?
No,
yeah,
no.
What the hell? Even
you have to have Leia there.
Exactly. To further that point, I mean, even Leia. What was it? Bloodlines. I haven't read it, but I've heard enough about it where you see that she was kind of pushed outside of being the leader or kind of face, more so for the rebellion because, once they found out, wait, Darth Vader was your dad and you're the leader of the rebellion. And we remember what happened when Palpatine was in things and then rose to power and he was Darth Sidious, so, eventually things kind of got dicey for her. Her marriage got dicey. So it's kind of one of those same things there, for her example, where it's like, yeah, even though, there's redemption for that character, it's just like the dude killed people, murdered, blew up planets. Yeah, you can't just make a reservation at any restaurant and hope to keep it lo-fi, man. It ain't gonna happen. But again, I'm one of those people that would love to, I think seeing redemption, for Ben Solo in some way would have been cool. A little bit more, a little more time with this character. And maybe it's not too late. Maybe that could be like a flashback thing, or I don't know.
Have you guys seen the Force Ghost edit of the end of Rise of Skywalker?
I don't think so. No.
Where like all the Jedi come in, or is it?
Yeah. I think that if you had a scene with Force Ghost Anakin and Kylo or Ben, at that moment, you can do what I couldn't. You can save her. You can do all this stuff. Even if he died, it pays off better because you're connecting it to him making the sacrifice and choosing to do that. And having a moment where you see Ben as a character realize beyond just being like not Kylo, not with his lightsaber, there's just more moment for him, because I think that would have been just more interesting. I like the Force Ghost edit and how you see everybody come back and how powerful that is. I highly recommend you guys watch it if you haven't. You could it's like just the Rise of Skywalker Force Ghost edit, and it's really beautifully done. You see everybody there, and that's one of the most powerful moments of the movie is like when you're hearing everybody. But if you actually got to see some of them, if you got to see Qui-Gon and Obi, and we would have been just so thrilled to see it, because Force Ghosts are a thing. It's not like it's not a thing.
Yeah. I mean, we seen it with Yoda. He popped up. In that moment with Luke, which I thought was really great. Yeah, man. And I think one of the things, and I'll share. I think one of the things I really loved about the Rise of Skywalker was, I think the found family thing is fine. I didn't have an issue with that. I did like what they did essentially with Rey and kind of revealing, the Palpatine thing. I didn't have a problem with it. At first, I had a problem with it because I thought it was kind of a cop-out and laziness where it was like, it felt definitely kind of like there was a lot of fan service, and I thought that was an element to it where it was like, okay, they're just going to do that because it's nostalgia, blah, 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 blah. And then when I did more research, and again, like legend stuff, it's like that isn't a new concept. When you look at books, even certain video games that they've done in the past, it's like, oh, this has actually been a thing that it's not a new concept. It may seem that way to some of us based on the film and how, yes, there was a lot of fan service, but that concept of Palpatine having a contingency plan, being lustful and crazy over power and ruling the galaxy forever at any point that he could, that makes sense to me. We're like, oh, okay. And then when you see that, this is something that has been done in other forms of literature in Star Wars past, it's like, okay, I can dig that a little bit more. The only thing I had an issue with was like connecting the dots. Like, we had a Star Wars book that came out last year. It's like an encyclopedia. It's called The Star Wars Book, and it's there that I learned that Snoke is a clone of Palpatine. Who knew? But I had to read a book. Even though I love that book, I appreciate it a lot. But again, I think that it did feel like a very beautiful mess in certain parts. You know what I mean? But it is what it is. So, Rise of Skywalker, man. So you guys shared your thoughts. I think we only have 2 more films, which would be Solo and Rogue One. I'll put those 2 together. How do you guys rate those films? 1 out of 5 for Solo and Rogue One.
I think Rogue One is a 5 and Solo is a 4.
Okay. Rogue One is a 5, Solo 4. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think with Rogue One, if I had to rate, like, I'm terrible at rating Star Wars movies, but number 1 is still Return of the Jedi for me. Number 2 would be Rogue One.
Yeah.
Just because, like, there's so much going. It's a whole different feel to a Star. It's like it puts the war back in Star Wars.
Yep.
You get a look at, like, the rebels aren't really like the best people.
Yeah.
But that's kind of out of necessity.
Yeah. Yep.
And I think even though it was still like, CG, I think they did a pretty decent job with Tarkin.
Yeah.
Krennic, I will now watch anything Ben Mendelsohn is in for the rest of his life because I loved him as Krennic. Yeah. And just everything about that. And I fully understand that Darth Vader hallway scene was also, again, it was fan service. It would not have impacted the movie in the slightest if it wasn't in there, but I loved that scene.
Oh, yeah.
It's like Vader at his peak.
Yeah. It's terrifying, dude.
I've watched that movie so many times, just have it on the background or whatever. I think one of the things I'd probably change, though, is making that Kyber crystal more significant. Like, it was just a keepsake around her neck. I think one of the early treatments, her mom was going to be an ex-Jedi, but they got rid of that.
For Jyn Erso?
Yeah. Jyn Erso's mom was going to be an ex-Jedi.
Okay, gotcha.
And
interesting. I don't remember that.
Even though it made sense narratively for every character to die, I kind of wish a couple of them had just made it out. Like, somehow maybe Jyn and Cassian had somehow made it out of there.
Yeah.
But, still, it was a great movie.
Yeah. And we talked about Empire before, having like a dark ending. This one definitely brings it home, where they're the Suicide Squad of Star Wars,
And I think the only thing I could say about Solo was great. Solo actually used a lot of Legends stuff from his trilogy and Legends, like where they could. They actually put that into the story a bit.
Yeah.
Darth Maul at the end was cool. The only thing I think I would have changed is having that officer name him Solo. I think Solo should have just been his name.
Yeah.
That was not necessary. But that was it. That was really it for that movie.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'll share last. Marissa, what about you?
Okay. I would do Rogue One is a 5 for sure.
Okay.
And I think it's a fantastic movie. It's a war movie, and we don't really have that genre. And again, the stakes are so high. It feels really, really well done. The acting is incredible.
Yep.
The last part of that movie just blows you away. And you say to plot, the Darth Vader scene doesn't make a difference, but emotionally it makes a massive difference. The way that Rogue One sets up A New Hope and ties everything together and really makes you feel like, it makes me so horny for Star Wars. It's like, I'm like, oh my God, I just want to watch Star Wars so bad right now. It literally makes you want to put on A New Hope immediately. Because
I'll never look at Rogue One the same now. God, I just want to watch Star Wars right now.
again, I remember I'm a degenerate. I'm foul.
Yeah,
So
I love it. I love it.
But I think it's fantastically done. Like the
Yeah.
tension is so there. Like again, I like devastating things. I'm like, make my heart hurt, and that
Yeah.
movie just like is like, just gonna murder you so hard with
Yeah.
feelings, and like that's so cool. I love that we have kind of a male female lead and it does not feel romantic at all. Like I know
Yeah.
some people
Yeah.
ship them together, but I like that it feels really neutral and like it kind of gets to that place of and I think this is like one of the ways that Lord of the Rings is really powerful. It's like showing the effects that like horrifying things have on people and how it connects them, how it trauma bonds them and makes them rely on each other, and how friendship is the thing that like gets them through and pushes them to the next thing so that they can, you know, like keep going because they care and love about each other. And like that's so beautiful. I'm kill them all, I don't care. Like it works for the movie. It's devastating, but it's the last thing you expect from a movie is to have everybody die, and it's really beautiful. But it still has, it literally gives you that moment where, you know, Leia's like, hope, like hope. I think it's really well done. Fabulous actor. Ben Mendelsohn, hell yeah.
I agree with you and Xanatos on that. I watch anything he's in now, man.
Oh, so good.
For sure.
And then with Solo, I would say it's like a 4.43. It's like, it's a fun Star Wars adventure. It doesn't really connect with me on an emotional level because it is just like, oh, we're having a good time doing Star Warsy things. It's fun to see it. Sometimes I feel like his Han Solo impression is a little bit too Han Solo impression-y and not enough. Just play Han Solo. Don't pretend to be him. But I I love the Chewie origin stuff. I love to get so many great characters, so many great female characters. It's a good time. Like, why not? I like it.
I
Lando. Lando. No,
take me to Cloud City.
It's so perfectly cast, and he just captures the Lando essence of cool and like
the swag.
Give a shit. Like he captures that so well, and like so like that's just delightful to see because you're like, that like. With the other guy, I can't remember his name. I don't really feel like that's Han Solo. That's just somebody playing Han Solo. Whereas like with Donald Glover, I'm like, that's Lando.
Yeah. But see, I like that aspect though of what you said about Han, and that's why I think it works. Is because it feels a little off in moments, but it's because you got this younger guy. He doesn't quite have the full swag of Harrison in later years. Another thing you think about Han is like. He was the oldest. Actually, no. Lando is actually older than the rest of the group. If we're talking about like in universe terms, but Han was meant to be like the oldest in the group of the trio, right? And you think of that swag where you know he's got that I don't give a shit attitude. You know, I've been through this. You know, this ship has traveled 12 parsecs. Listen, kid. You know, like you know how Han Solo is. He's got that swag. With in Solo, what I like. And you pointed it out. I kind of like that where he's kind of this kind of pretender almost because he's trying to figure it out. He's not Han Solo yet. You know, he's still developing and getting that swag. I would almost say Woody Harrelson almost had more of that classic Han Solo swag, which was kind of like a mentor-ish character to him at a certain point, you know, where he's still learning. You know, he's still kind of this rusty kid, you know, and I think that's one of the things I loved is that it was like, he's not Han Solo yet that we know, but it's leading up to that eventually, you know. And I think Solo's enjoyable if you go in like it's a heist movie. Don't expect anything else crazy. Just go in, like you said, enjoy some Star Wars stuff. It's a heist. It is what it is. Rogue One, I definitely give a 5 for sure, man. Beautiful movie. And I mean, you know, again, it's anything that takes you back to a certain point of time is always just amazing. That's necessary. You know what I mean? I feel like Rogue One it definitely filled in gaps of a certain period of time, right before certain events in New Hope, which I thought is just cool. Like, same thing with Revenge of the Sith, where it's like it wraps things up and brings you right back to New Hope. You know what I mean? I love that. So I'm all about it. All about it, man. I love that stuff. Oh yeah, and I would say 4 for Solo. I would say 4. I would agree with that. We have one last question. This is from our chat. Someone asks, Rick Sanchez actually asks, what's your favorite Star Wars character plus movie and why you like them? Obviously for me, I'll go first and then you guys can share. I would say definitely Din Djarin. Obviously, when I branded myself after the character, I like the fact that he's not the smartest or most powerful character. He is smart, but he's not the most powerful character. He's kind of like the underdog, and I enjoy not knowing what's going to happen quite yet. I know what's happened with Luke, and Luke is definitely one of my tops. As far as favorite Jedi, Kanan Jarrus for sure, but Luke by default for sure. But I know what's happened with so many other characters. With Mando, it's again, this is a new story, and I enjoy being in that place with Star Wars and with this character that I resonate with, where it's like the stakes are out on the table. I have no idea what's going to happen next, and there's something that's just true to life about that in general. That's just exciting, So that's one of the reasons I love Mando. Xanatos, I think I know who yours is.
I actually, I was thinking about it, but I want to hear your guess first.
I was gonna say Revan.
Well,
or Han Solo.
No, like Revan's a good one, and
Okay.
I would even almost say Mara Jade, because that's like the other half of my account is talking about Mara Jade, doing stuff Mara Jade.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
If we're just sticking with the movies, though, I'd still say Luke Skywalker.
Okay.
And
Ooh.
I mean, I liked him best in Return of the Jedi, but he's a great character overall anyway. But my favorite movie is Return of the Jedi, so it all makes sense.
Okay. Wow. Okay, Luke for sure. That makes sense for sure. Marissa, what about you?
I mean, I feel like I can just show you this right here. That would be Leia
Oh, okay.
That's my babe.
Hold on.
Like, I love her so much. Yeah.
Damn, I gotta step up my Star Wars tattoo game. All right.
Yeah. Obviously, she's just, from the moment I saw her as a little girl, I was just like, oh my God, like, that is who I want to be. She's like cool, she's funny, she's mean, but she's also like so lovable and fun, and she's smart, and like, God, just love her. So like, obviously my other favorite characters would be Din Djarin, Grogu, and Kylo Ren. Those are like, obviously. Like, it's like so obvious. Looking at your
page, it's like, I know.
But like, I just love Leia so much.
Yeah.
She's just everything for me. So, and my favorite movie it's a tie between Empire and Last Jedi.
Oh shit! I didn't answer that. My bad. Empire and Last Jedi. Ooh, I would say mine. Revenge of the Sith and Return of the Jedi, for sure. Tie between those two. Xanatos, what about you?
I would still say Return of the Jedi, though. Yeah, I'm gonna stick with Return of the Jedi.
Okay, Return of the Jedi. Yeah, it's Revenge of the Sith and Return of the Jedi for me, man. They're like, side by side for sure. Other than that, I think that covers all the films. What I want to do is bring you guys back on eventually, and we're gonna talk animated shows, man. I think because again, I wanted to add that to this segment, but I mean, we're already over 2 hours into the stream, and you see, this is the movies alone. Mm-hmm. So I think on another stream, I think it'd be great to chat with you guys and talk about characteristics and things within the canonization of animation of Star Wars, and kind of do it. It doesn't necessarily have to be rating, but I think it would be good to have conversations about what animation has done in the world of Star Wars. I think that would be a fun topic as well. So be on standby. I will be reaching out very soon. Other than that, I mentioned it earlier, guys. Memberships are live on the channel, so be sure to go and check those out. See what is most fitting for you if you guys are interested in that and if you want to support the channel in another way. I will have merch coming soon. I can't open up the store on YouTube yet until we get to 10K. That's just the rule that they have on YouTube. You have to have at least 10,000 subscribers to have your store like on your dashboard. So eventually I'll be able to post that here. That's coming, but we got to get to 10K. Hoping to get there by December. That's a dream. We'll see. That will be great. And other than that, I am partnered with Sabneo Sabers. So be sure to go and check them out. I have my own promo code, so you guys can check that out and get a little discount and check out the sabers they have. Mine should be arriving like here pretty soon, so I'll be doing a review, like I said earlier, and you guys will be able to check that out and get all the nitty-gritty details on those sabers. As far as my guests, let me go into the chat, and actually, you know what? We're going to go to TikTok, because why not, man? I like showing off people's pages. Let's see. I'm going to go to my messages, click on people's names. There we go. Let me share my screen. Perfection. All right, go follow my friend Marissa Grotesque. How do I say your full name? Grotesque
Egomania.
Grotesque Egomania. Grotesque
Yeah.
Egomania. There you go. You guys have seen me duet with this lovely person several times. She's my Grogu of TikTok. So be sure to go and follow her, check her out. She's got some fun stuff. Give her a follow if you would. And where's my boy Xanatos? Xanatos 11. Oh, no. There we go. There you are. Xanatos. Be sure to go follow him. He's got a new little series on there. Are you a simp for Mara J, bro? Is this true?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Proudly so.
No,
Proudly so.
I have given up denying it because I thought I was hiding it better, and someone's like, "Oh yeah, I knew you were going to say Mara Jade on one of my videos," and I'm like, "All right, fine." And I actually, Chris, Star Wars lawyer, I was telling him as a joke, I'm like, "I'm going to do a daily lightsaber series where I spin a lightsaber until Mara's canon." I was joking, and he goes, "No, totally do it." It's like, okay, I'm on day 90 something now of that series.
Dang. What? Dude, you know, I'm actually thinking about doing like a little side Jedi cosplay now that I have a lightsaber coming. I was thinking of doing Bel Zettifar.
Oh yeah,
From
that's a good one.
I was like, you know, I dig his character and I can pull it off. You know, I just got to buy some dreads and then I should be good. Or I might do something from like an older Star Wars game. I don't know. We'll figure it out. But anyway, go follow my friends on TikTok. They're great people. I've kept you guys long enough. Be sure to subscribe to the channel, all my viewers who have not already, and we will see you for the next video. Peace. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.